Now, the Enniscorthy Community Allotments group came about after a number of individuals with keen interest in setting up a community allotment got together last February in 2021, and to tell us more, I'm joined on the line by Michael Devereux and Eimear McAuley. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Jim. How are you? And good morning to your listeners also.
And hello, Eimear.
Good morning, Jim.
You're very welcome. Now, this idea of allotment, I love this idea. I would love to see more community allotments. God knows we have the space in certain areas, and it would get rid of a lot of eyesores around the country, would it not?
Oh, it certainly would, Jim. The idea goes back to February 21. It was a pandemic idea, to be honest with you, and I was at home. I've got a large garden. I was doing some vegetable gardening at home, and I felt that there was a need for someone to do something in Enniscorthy in this regard. It's a very topical sort of area at the moment with a lot of different regions, and so I sort of put the idea together and drew up a sort of a schedule, sort of plan, a schematic diagram of what I was trying to achieve, and I contacted Councillor Aidan Brown to see would he get involved with me on that,
And what size ground are we talking about?
Pardon?
What size ground are we talking about?
The size of the plot it's broken up into two different sizes, so it's roughly about 1.5 acres.
Quite sizable.
And it's very, very close to the town centre of Enniscorthy. So it's the location of it couldn't be better, to be honest with you. And it's in view of a natural walk as well from around the town, so that people, as they're going past, stop and look in, and even when they're driving their cars, they slow down and they have a look in at the allotment and seeing how it's progressing.
Well, tell us where exactly is it?
It's up at the top end of the Enniscorthy Sports Hub. If you're familiar with Enniscorthy, just at the back of the rugby club there.
Okay. Eimear, good morning to you again.
Good morning, Jim.
Your involvement in this allotment, tell me more.
Yeah, so I initially took part in a survey that was put out by the committee that was in existence at that stage, just to express an interest in getting involved. And Michael contacted me and asked me if I would be interested in being part of the committee. So I hopped on board. I was very keen to get involved in something like that on a community basis, and also tying in with the gardening. So I got on board then, and at that stage they had some work done in looking for a site, but there was a lot of work still to be done. The committee pulled together really well then over the next maybe 6 to 8 months, and the site was secured. We applied for and were successful in getting leader funding, and the sod was broken, I think, in February of this year. So a year after Michael's brainchild began, the sod was turned, and we're now flourishing up there.
So in terms of funding, how much did you get, and what was the funding used for?
So we applied for the leader funding, which provides 75% of the overall costs that we submit, and the remainder has to be raised by ourselves. So we raised the remaining 25% through fundraising, sponsorship from local businesses and organisations, and the credit union helped as well. The rest of the funding then came from Leader. Then that got the site up and running initially. We have incurred costs then after that, and will incur costs on an ongoing basis. So the maintenance fees and the fees that will run the site from now on will be up to us to raise.
How many participants have you got?
We have 66 plots at the moment that are ground-based, and then we have an additional 20 raised beds. And alongside this, then we have 60 spots in the polytunnel. But what you're looking at really is of the 66 plots, you would have at least maybe 2 to 3 people working a plot. But in some cases, you could have a lot more. For instance, we have one plot assigned to Ukrainian nationals. So there could be up to 6 or 7 people working on that plot. There's some other the community groups like the CAN, the Cottage Autism Network, the Hope Centre, the community workshop. So overall, you could be looking at in excess of 200 people who are using the plot on a very regular basis.
Would it be safe to say then that up to 200 families could be self-sufficient in terms of vegetables? Hardly.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I'll hand it over to Michael there now.
Michael.
Okay. Well, look at the plot sizes are 5 metres squared. So to actually sustain yourself in vegetables for the year, probably not possible. But to be honest, Jim, the idea here is to get new people outgrowing. And so, as Eimear said, we have 200, maybe 250 people now growing that weren't growing. And what's so beneficial about the whole project is the intergenerational aspect of it. And when you see the small kids with their parents heading out of the allotment, holding the carrots by their stalks, and, everyone just so happy to be up there because it's a beautiful, holistic space. And it's totally inclusive, as Eimear said. And you have to look at the biodiversity that it's bringing to the town and the personal well-being of all the members that are there on site.
It's truly quite incredible from a mental health point of view, from a physical health point of view, from a financial point of view, from an environmental point of view.
Yes, it's like an umbrella over all the different groups, and it's so overwhelming actually to see everyone there. And only recently we were on nationwide broadcasted on the 18th of July, and it was absolutely terrific to see it, and a great showcase for Enniscorthy also, and not just for Enniscorthy but for Wexford. I think we've now set the model for Wexford, the county, to follow suit.
This really is an idea that could be rolled out, and as I said at the outset, it could be one way of dealing with a certain amount of dereliction and eyesore and so on, could it not?
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at it, and Donal McCormick is the chairperson of the Community Allotments Ireland, and we have 2,500 allotments in Ireland presently. And they're hoping to get that up to 5,000 by the year 2025, a little bit aspirational. But then when you look at Denmark, and Denmark is roughly the same size country as ourselves, they have 60,000 allotments. So the ratio is 1 to 90, whereas in Ireland the ratio is 1 to 2,000. So a lot of work needs to be done on trying to roll out a better structure and get the structure right.
Well, you're the man to get this to get the ball rolling, so to speak. If I remember rightly, the whole idea of allotments really came into its own during the Second World War. I think encouraged by the British government for self-sufficiency, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct. And and it is part of the development plan from the Wexford, the council and government, and it's like allotments were used in Enniscorthy before. This is nothing new, but what's new is the whole layout of the holistic space that we've created. And only recently we actually won an award, the GIY Energy Best Transformed Space. So, we only opened on the 11th of April, and to be winning a national award within 3 months is just, you sort of have to pinch yourself. That is
really, I genuinely mean it, that is one hell of an achievement. So participants pay, presumably, a fee for the use of the space.
Yeah, well, let Eimear take that one, if you wouldn't mind, Eimear.
Yeah, so members sign up to either an allotment which is based on the ground or a raised bed, and they also have the option of a space in the polytunnel as well. And membership comes in at €30 for a raised bed for the year, and it's €50 for an allotment on the ground, and then €10 for a polytunnel space. So as Michael said, the allotments on the ground are roughly 5 metres squared, and the raised beds are a bit somewhat smaller than that. But they are much more accessible for people who have any mobility issues or who simply want a smaller place to manage.
Do you provide an educational facility for, say, somebody who doesn't know one end of a carrot from the other? How do you cope with? Is there an educational aspect to this?
We have run a couple of workshops so far in terms of getting people started, and we've had some people help us, either members or committee members, or we've had Phil Doyle from Wilson Garden Centre has been out to advise us our plan for the future is to run a series of workshops which will completely support growers from beginning to end and cover all aspects of growing, from laying out your plot to composting to fermenting your foods, and anything else that people kind of need support along the way. At the moment, it's very much at the beginning stages. I suppose we've been surprised at how quickly it's gotten started and it's gained so much momentum. So in some stages, we're trying to catch up with ourselves and getting facilities set up and people on board.
Yes, Michael?
If you mind if I come in there just for a second. Sorry, Eimear. Just on the future training prospects, I would love to see that this would be, now it is aspirational, but then look at it, it can be a training facility, not just for Enniscorthy, but for Wexford. Enniscorthy is very centrally located, and, like my view is that it could be used as a centre for horticulture. There's no other area in Wexford, as far as I know, doing horticulture. If you want to train in that area, you need to go to Waterford or Kildalton. And so there's huge potential to maybe link in with Set2, or maybe that there's apprenticeship schemes or whatever. So, level 4, level 5.
There's nothing wrong with aspirational. Many's a good idea has come from aspirational. Very quickly, Eimear, just tell us about this open day on Saturday.
Yeah, so the open day on Saturday is an opportunity for us to open our gates to the public, to show off what we've been doing and what we've achieved so far. We're going to have some guest speakers. We will have refreshments there on the day. And it's an open invitation to members and also the wider public. And so it's an opportunity for them to come in and walk around and see what we have been doing. And it also coincides with the Rockin' Food and Fruit Festival. Wow. So once they've finished having a look around at where the food comes from, they can pop down and sample it downtown.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Wish you well. I think we'll be coming back to this subject. Michael Devereux there and Eimear McAuley from the Enniscorthy Community Allotments.